Yeah. See here, what are type 1 circuits here? Type 1 circuits would look like this. You have a voltage source, okay? Then a resistor like this. You can have anything. You can have any number of resistors, not a problem. Okay? This is minus plus. So what's not there? There is no current source. Okay? So this is type 1. Fine. Now you have the resistors, voltage sources, everything you will have. But along with the voltage source, you will also have what? You will also have a current source. It can be going upwards or downwards, not a problem. Okay, this is type 2. And what is type 3 we are talking about? See here, everybody just observe. We can have any number of meshes, not a problem. But see where the current source would be. Something like this can happen. So instead of instead of the resistor, you can even have a voltage source, not a problem. Fine. Yeah. Here you can even have a voltage source here. So what's happening? So you have current source between the two meshes. So that's why I'll refer to it as type 3 circuit. They're not standard references. I'm telling you again and again, they're not standard references. In type 1, what was happening? In type 1, let me make some more space for this. In type 1, what's happening? No current sources. No current sources. In type 2, what's happening? Current sources are there, but on the boundary. Current sources on the boundary. Here in type 3, the current sources are there, but current source in between the meshes. Okay, so these three are the different cases, different types, what I wanted to tell. Okay, in the textbook or anywhere, they'll not refer to them as type 1, type 2, type 3. But here, I'm doing this just to refer to them in a efficient manner. If I refer to type 1 circuit, you should understand there are no current sources. If I tell you there are current sources, you should ask me where exactly. Are they on the boundary or are they in between any meshes? If they are on the boundary, it's type 2. If they are in between, they are type 3. Understand that? So sometimes even this can happen. Just look at this. This is an interesting case. So what's happening here? See, this is an interesting case. I'll just show you that. See here. You have a voltage source. Fine. Then you have a current source. Then again this. Fine. What I'll do, I'll give a current source here. So what's happening here? Can anybody make out what's happening here? See, there is this current source is in between the meshes. Okay, this is on the boundary. So which type of circuit is this? This is type 2 and type 3 because you have current sources on the boundary as well as current sources in between. Understand? So this observation you need to have in mesh analysis. If current sources are not there, fine, we know how to deal with. If current sources are there, if on the boundary, how to deal with. If they are in between, how to deal with is what we are now looking at. If the current sources are in between the meshes, okay, then what needs to be done? If they are on the boundary, we know that's an advantage. The number of KVLs would reduce, saving a lot of time. Okay, so how this type 3 circuit would look like, okay, is what we are going to see. Okay, and this type 3 problems, we have very important concept here. That is, everybody, when we are dealing with this type 3 circuits, everybody should understand that we are dealing with something called as super mesh analysis. Everybody just copy it down. What we are doing is super mesh analysis. I'll tell you why it is called as super mesh. So what we are doing is super mesh analysis. Fine. So where would the super mesh analysis come? It would come only in type 3 circuits. So let's consider a type 3 circuit now. Everybody. Okay. Let's consider it now. Fine. Let's take an example. Fine. So everybody just copy this particular circuit. Be fast when you're copying. Do that with me only. Just see and start copying. See, we have a current source. Current source must be there. But where it should be? It should be on the, it should be in between rather. It should be in between the two meshes like this. This is just some example I've taken. We'll take the examples with more number of meshes. Okay, but for discussion, I'm considering this. Fine. So let's say this is 5 volts, 10 volts. This is 2 amps. This is say 2 ohms and 4 ohms. This is how the circuit is. Okay. Maybe they'll ask us to do this. What they'll ask us, find mesh currents. They'll ask, suppose. Find mesh currents, we should understand it is by mesh analysis. Through no other way we can find out mesh currents. Finding mesh currents is only by mesh analysis. Find the mesh currents by mesh analysis. Mind you, they'll not say super mesh analysis. They'll just say mesh analysis, but they'll not say super mesh analysis. It is we who should decide whether it is a mesh analysis or, to be in particular, it's super mesh analysis. It is we who should decide that. Okay. Now, straight away, how to decide whether it's a simple mesh analysis problem or a super mesh analysis problem. Okay. So whenever you have, everybody understand this, whenever you have a current source in between the two meshes, we combine the two meshes in between which you find a current source. Mind you, we combine the two meshes in between you find a current source into, we combine these two into one super mesh. You have two meshes, okay, and if you have a current source between those two meshes, then those two meshes are combined into one super mesh. Is that understood? So how does a super mesh look like? See here, everybody. Let me take this. Yeah. See here. You have to combine the two meshes which are having the current source in between. Okay. We are combining like this. So that means you should see it as one mesh and one closed path. So, and that closed path is referred to as super mesh. So what is a super mesh? Super mesh is the combination of two meshes. Super mesh is a combination of two meshes in between which you find a current source. Get that point? Now, what we need to do, we have to mark our mesh currents. Fine, let's mark them now. So this is one mesh. Okay, let me call that one mesh current as IA. There is another mesh here. Okay, let me call these mesh current. Mesh currents are IA and IB. Get that point? Now, instead of applying KVL to mesh 1 or mesh 2, we have to be applying KVL to the super mesh. Everybody understand this problem? Why we are forming the super mesh in the first place? Because there is a current source in between the two meshes. So find those two meshes in between which you have a current source, combine them into one super mesh. And after you form a super mesh by the dotted path that I've shown you now, you have to be applying KVL to the super mesh, mind you. Okay, so two meshes are combined into one super mesh, and you will have one KVL being applied to super mesh instead of two KVLs each being applied to one super mesh there. Get that point? Fine. So this is what it is. So if you have any problems, you can unmute and you can ask me. I have made it clear, I believe. So even if you have a problem now, okay, now you can ask me that. So this is IA, this is IV, this is 2 amps. Fine. So we have to apply KVL to the super mesh. So how does the KVL to super mesh look like? Now, in the solution, what we need to see, let's very first thing that you would say is this. What is it? Very first thing is mark. You have to mark mesh currents. Mark IA and IB as shown because they are not given, mind you. Okay. Since you have to say all this in your solution. Since there is everybody make these points. Since there is a current source in between combine these meshes into one super mesh as shown. It's shown now. Everybody is okay with this? You have to mark IA and IB. Then since there is a current source between the meshes 1 and 2, you have to combine the meshes to one super mesh as shown in the figure. Fine. Now we have to apply KVL to the super mesh. Everybody take this. KVL to super mesh. How does it look like? KVL to super mesh. Okay. Now everybody observe your circuit. How I am going to apply the KVL. I'll be writing that here beside the circuit so that it would be easier for you to refer. Okay, let me start from this 5. Okay, I'm moving along the super mesh, mind you. I'm moving along the super mesh. So that means I have to take this path. I'll start from this 5 volts. Since I'm approaching this minus sign, it is minus 5. Then it is plus 2 IA. Then it is plus 4 IB. Then it is plus 10. Okay, equal to 0. Everybody just see, it is -5 plus 2IA plus 4IB plus 10 equal to 0. Is everybody okay with this? Now, bring this to the standard form. I'll be talking about this. Bring this to the standard form. I'll just go there. Okay. I'll tell you. Control X. KVL to the super mesh looks like this. Is this okay with you, everybody? KVL to super mesh. Then bring this to standard form. What is it? It's 2IA plus 4IB equal to plus 10 minus 5 would be plus 5 on the left hand side. If it goes to right hand side, it would be minus 1. So you have one equation. You have one equation because we had one super mesh. So we have one KVL. So from that, we have gathered that we have an equation consisting of IA and IB. Now, everybody lend your ears. See here, how many unknowns are there? Anybody? How many unknowns are there? Yeah. IA and IB are the unknowns. How many equations do we have? IA and IB are the two unknowns, okay? But we have one equation. One equation, two unknowns cannot be solved. If there are two unknowns, at least two equations we need to have. Get that, everybody? If we have two unknowns, to find those two unknowns, at least we need to have two equations. Let there be more than two, not a problem, but at least we need two. Understand? We have one. From where we should bring another equation is the question. Is that okay with you? We have one equation, two unknown. Get that? One equation, two unknown. So this should be your thought process. One equation, two unknowns. Okay, so problem. How to get one more equation? One equation, two unknowns. When would this happen? This would happen in super mesh. You'll be having lesser number of KVLs, than the number of unknowns. So what we should do is we should have something called as, yeah, anybody? We should have something called as the constraint equation. Okay, so where from one more equation will come? Okay, so you should obtain something called as constraint. CONSTRAINT. Constraint equation. What is this constraint equation? What is constraint? Constraint means it's a condition without which you cannot move ahead. Constraint. This constraint is time constraint is there, space constraint is there. Okay, I cannot do it within this time because I have got time constraint. 1 hour is not sufficient. That is constraint. Okay, so with that constraint, how to work with? So what is that constraint that we need to work with if this problem has to be solved? Is this. So that is what is the constraint equation, and that constraint equation can be obtained by looking at this particular current source, which we had not taken into account when we applied KVL to super mesh. So the question is, can we write this 2 amperes in terms of the mesh currents? Everybody, we need another equation. Okay, and that equation is called constraint equation. That needs to be written by seeing the current source and expressing that current source in terms of the mesh currents. Is that possible? Yes, it is possible. How? Look at this. Now this 2 amperes is because of IA and IB flowing in this branch, we can say. Or this 2 amperes is a combination of IA and IB flowing. Okay, so that means we can express this 2 amps in terms of IA and IB. How can we? Is the question. Now you have to see the current which is in the direction of 2 amperes. Among IA and IB, which is in the direction of 2 amperes? Anybody? Which current among IA and IB are in the direction of 2 amperes?
IB.
IB, good. See here, IB is in the direction of 2 amperes and IA is in the direction opposite to the flow of 2 amperes. That means this 2 amperes is IB minus IA. Get that, everybody? It's IB minus IA. So instead of writing IB minus IA, I'll be writing that as, see here, I'll be writing that here itself. What is the constraint equation that we are, oh, yeah, let me write that constraint equation, creating some problems here. No problem, no problem. I'll do it. I'll do it. Yeah, what is that constraint equation? It's here, not this. This is, see here, constraint equation is minus IA, okay, then plus IB equal to 2. This is our second equation. Everybody understand this? Why this is minus IA? Minus IA because it is flowing opposite to 2 ampere. Why it is plus IB? Because this plus IB is, this IB is flowing in the direction of 2 ampere. So it is minus IA plus IB equal to 2. Everybody get that point? Fine. So this is called as the constraint equation, which is not the KVL, man. This is not the KVL. This is just the constraint equation which we write by looking into this. So it is minus IA plus IB equal to 2. Fine. So it's minus IA. Everybody. It's minus IA plus IB equal to 2, and this is your second equation. Can anybody solve this and give me IA and IB fast? So this IA and IB would happen to be solving 1 and 2 implies our IA is what? Minus 2.1666 amps. You're getting this? IA is this, and our IB would be minus 0.1666 amps. This is your IB. Anybody getting this? Those who have got this can give me, because I could have made a mistake. I just want to check that answer. If anybody has got this, can you unmute and got this right? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So this is how we do the problems involving the current sources in between the two meshes. Okay, I'll give you another problem. Just copy it down. Fine. So this is another problem. Problem number 2 in this particular case. Fine. Copy down the circuits, everybody. Copy down the circuit. Let's not waste time copying the circuit. Make it fast. Okay, so this is the circuit that we are writing. And voltage source here, again a resistor. Copy it down fast, everybody. Fine, let me write the values. 4 milliamps and 6 volts, 1 kilo ohm, 1 kilo ohm, 2 kilo ohm, and this is 2 kilo ohms. Yeah, this is the circuit. And what they're asking you to find out is I naught. So the question goes like this: find I naught by mesh analysis. Everybody look at this. This is a 3 mesh problem. 3 mesh problem it is. But how many KVL problem is this is what we need to look at. Okay, there are 3 meshes, so we have marked 3 mesh currents: IA, IB, and IC. Mind you, this IA, IB, IC that I have marked, or anything that is marked in red color, is not given in the question. Okay, simply the circuit is given, and we'll be marking currents IA, IB, and IC. Understand that? Now, since there is a current source belonging to mesh 1, we can easily say IA is 2 milliamperes. Fine. So since we know IA will not be applying KVL to this. Fine. And we are combining mesh 2 and 3 as a super mesh because there is a current source in between mesh 2 and mesh 3. Okay. So you will have just one KVL to this super mesh, but one KVL is not sufficient. Why? One KVL means that KVL would be in terms of IA, IB, and IC after substitution of IA as 2 milliamperes. So one equation is not sufficient. That we discussed in the previous problem also. See here, there are 2 unknowns, but KVL to supermesh would give you one equation, but there will be 2 unknowns. So where from I should get another equation? I should get that equation from the constraint equation. So when we are dealing with supermesh problem, don't forget to write this constraint equation. Constraint equation is writing this current source which is common to 2 sources, two meshes in terms of the mesh currents. Fine. So let's go on with the solution here. Very first thing that you have to say is this. Yeah. What is that? We shall say by observation. By observation. What is true? What all we can do by observation? One thing that we can make out by observation is IA is 2 milliamps. So this can be easily made out because this is a type 2 problem in which we have current source on the boundary. So this is the first result that we have obtained. So 1 KVL reduced. Fine. Next, what is there? Combine mesh 2 and 3 to form a super mesh. Why we are forming a super mesh? Because there is a current source in between the 2 meshes. Since there is current source, in between, whatever is there in the bracket is just for your reference. Okay, so before we go for the KVL to super mesh, let's write the constraint equation. So how does the constraint equation look like now? Okay, by observation we have got to know IA is 2 milliamperes. Okay, since it is a super mesh problem type 3, we shall write the constraint equation. What is that constraint equation? Just look at this. Can we write this 4 milliamperes in terms of IB and IC is the question. Okay, yes, we can. Now you have to see among IB and IC which current is in the direction of 4 milliamperes. That we need to look at. IC is in the direction of 4 milliamperes and IB is flowing opposite to that of 4 milliamperes direction. Okay, so this 4 milliamperes would be equal to IC minus IB, but let's have this habit of writing the first current first. So among these two, which comes first? IB comes first, right? So instead of writing IC minus IB, let's write it as minus IB plus IC. Everybody's okay with that? So let's write the constraint equation. What is that constraint equation? It is minus IB plus IC equal to 4 milliamps. So this is the second result that we have obtained. These are all just by observations. Okay. Now what we have to do? We have to apply KVL to supermesh. Fine. So let's do that. After we write the constraint equation, let's apply KVL to supermesh. Now in supermesh, how many currents are flowing? There are two currents flowing in the supermesh. See, which currents are those? IB and IC. Which is outside the supermesh? IA is outside the supermesh. Everybody understand this? IA is outside the supermesh. Fine. Now that's why when we write the voltages, IA would have the negative sign, whereas IB and IC would have the positive signs because we are operating in the supermesh. Understand that? So let's start from this 2 kilo ohm. Fine. Everybody look at that. Those who understand can start writing it yourselves. Okay. So here it's 2K. Since we are operating in supermesh, okay, the current in the supermesh would be positive. That is IC minus IA. Understand that? Then after this, let's move on to this 1 kilo. Fine. So how does it look like? How does that look like? So it's plus 1K into IB minus IA. Next comes the 6. I'm moving in this direction, mind you. I'm moving in this direction. Next comes what? Next comes the 6 volts. But when we are approaching this, the minus sign is coming first. Okay. So that I'll consider as minus 6 volts. Then comes 1K. So that's 1K into IB because there is just one current flowing, mesh 2. Okay. Plus 2K, and in that only IC is flowing. Okay, algebraic sum of all these voltages should give you 0. How many voltages are there? You can just count that. See here, you have, see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So totally 5 voltages are there along with this voltage source I'm saying. Okay, so the algebraic sum of these 5 voltages, okay, should give you 0. That is according to KVL. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 voltages are there. Okay, you will find what 5 voltages, and algebraic sum of those 5 voltages would give you 0 according to your KVL. So that is what is this KVL to supermesh. So now we can reduce in this equation. There are 3 unknowns. Okay, we can make this equation of 2 unknowns by substituting IA as 2 milliamperes. Understand that, everybody? So what would be our IA? Well, so substituting IA, what do we get? Everybody write that. Everybody write after substituting IA. Write the equation. So what would that equation be? See here, it's 2K is there. It's IC and minus 2 milli because IA is minus 2 milli plus 1K IB minus 2 milli. This is how we need to write. Okay. minus 6 plus 1 KIB plus 2 KIC. Now when you look at how many IBs are there, how many ICs are there, and the constants we need to push to right hand side. So what it will look like, let's write that equation also. Okay, it's 2K IC. This K and milli goes off, so you'll be left with minus 4. Then have plus K IB. This K and this milli goes off, so you'll be left with minus 2 minus 6, okay, plus 1 KIB, okay, plus 2 KIC. So what you will be getting totally? Yeah. How many IBs first? How many IBs? So 1 IB, okay. Then here another 1 KIB. So 1K and 1 KIB. So that would be 2 KIB. How many ICs? 2K here, then 2K at the end. So this and this. So it will be totally 4K IC. Okay. And on the right hand side, you will have 4 plus 2, 6, 6 plus 6. It would be 12. Is this equation okay, everybody? Just look at that once. If any problems you find, let me know. Let's not move on with the mistakes. Fine. Recheck that. Now with that, we will have our I2 and I3 to be what? So solving, sorry, it's not I2 and I3, rather it's IB and IC. So what we need to do to solve for IB and IC, so you need to take two equations. Which are those two equations? It's 2 and 3. Just as said, I might have made a mistake here. So what's happening? This is all 12 or 12K, 12 milli it would come. Here there is 4 milli. Yeah, that's 4 milli is fine. Okay. Would this just be 12 is what we need to look at. So 2K is there, 2 2s are 4, yeah, 1K. Yeah, fine. Now solve this and see if you are getting this. Okay. Solving 2 and 3. Solving 2 and 3 using your calculators. Okay, what is that we are going to get? Yeah, so that would be 10 by 3 is your I2. No, IC is 10 by 3. IB is, anybody you have that with you? IB. Yeah. Yeah, your I2 is minus 2 by 3. And sorry, why I'm writing I2 and I3 here? Come on. This is IB. Okay. And this is IC. We have named it as IA, IB, IC, mind you. Okay. So what is I naught? I naught is IA minus IC, because IA is flowing in the direction of I naught and IC is flowing opposite to the direction of I naught. Okay. So I naught is IA minus IB. So therefore I can say our I naught, which is IA minus IC, is given by what? Minus 4 y, right? So it is, this is 2 or 2 milli. This is 2 milli, right? And your answers are in milli or what? That you didn't tell me. It's minus 2 by 3 milli and 10 by 3 milli. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I should say they are in milliamps. Okay, otherwise we'll get wrong answers. So they are milliamps, mind you. Okay, those who have not taken, take them as milli. Okay, it's 2 milli minus 10 by 3 milli. So this implies that our I naught would be minus 4 by 3 milliamps. So this is how things go. Fine. Now let's go on with another problem. Fine, before this session ends. Okay, and then let's move on to new sort of problems. We'll take dependent sources. Okay, now see here. What you have to do here is I'll write here. There is a V naught given here minus plus. So what they're asking is find V naught by mesh analysis. Everybody just listen here. This is something that is new. See here, we have a resistor in series with the current source. Everybody understand this? In the first two problems that we have seen, we just had a current source. There was no resistor in series with this. See, even in this, okay, we have a current source, but there is no resistor in series with that. And understand this, resistor in series with the current source is, let me write that, resistor in series with the current source is redundant resistor. This is redundant. Anybody who knows what is redundancy? This is redundant resistor. What does that mean? Redundant resistor. Anybody knows what is redundancy? Redundancy means, let me write, has no role to play. Role to play. In Kannada, they say "Ata kuntu lekkakilla," right? It is that. Those who don't understand Kannada, I don't know how to say. Okay, it's "Ata." We will be having them in the game, but they'll not be of any value to us. Okay, so that is what "Ata kuntu lekkakilla" we say. It's like that. This 1 ohm in series with the current. Any resistor in series with the current source is that, because whatever is this resistor, it need not be 1 ohm, mind you. It can be 10 ohms, 100 kilo ohms, whatever it is. The same current flows through that. Okay, so resistor in series with the current source is a redundant resistor. Similarly, if you have a resistor in similarly, see here, just for the example, similarly, if you have a voltage source, okay, in parallel with the resistor, then the resistor is redundant. A resistor in parallel with the voltage source is redundant resistor. Okay, similarly, resistor in series with the current source is redundant. Why this is redundant? Why voltage source and the resistor in parallel with the voltage source is a redundant resistor? Because see, whatever is voltage here, the same voltage comes over here. So hold together it's voltage V. Understand that? So whatever is the voltage here, the same voltage comes here. So V in parallel with V would give you the same V. It will not give you 2V or half V. Understand that? It's the same V. So that's why you have it or you don't have it. It is not going to make any difference. Similarly, this 1 ohm, whether you have it or don't have it in series with the current source, it is not going to make any difference. So let's not bother much about this 1 ohm. And you can see in the problem, nowhere this comes into picture. Why it does not come into picture? See, this again is a super mesh problem. Why it's a super mesh problem? See, this mesh and this mesh, that this current source is between the two meshes. So you'll form a super mesh taking these two into consideration. Okay, I took this problem just to explain this series resistor concept. Okay, to say that it has got nothing to do in the problem, but they have given it. Let it be there, but it will not play any role. Fine. So what is the first thing that you have to do? I'm not solving the whole problem. I'll just tell you how it works out. Okay, in the solution, what we need to say is we have to mark, right, mesh currents. To find V naught, we have to mark the mesh currents because they have asked us to do this by mesh analysis. So let me mark this as IA, okay, IB, and IC. And you can say IX, IY, IZ, not a problem. If you're fed up with IA, IB, IC, you can change the names, not a problem. Okay, fine. Now, after marking what? So first we need to say, first thing is what? Mark IA, IB, IC as shown. Second step is what? Combine which two meshes you are combining. Which two meshes? Combine mesh 2 and mesh 1. This is not mesh 2, sorry. Mesh 1 and 3 to form super mesh as shown. Super mesh as shown. And one more thing that I wanted to tell you is whether this is a super mesh problem or not is something that we should decide. See here, they'll say just super mesh the problem. Everybody understand that? So if you see here, they'll just say mesh analysis, but it is we who should decide that, okay, it's not just a mesh analysis problem, but it's a super mesh analysis problem. They in particular don't say it's super mesh. So it is up to us to understand that it's a super mesh problem. Okay, so let's form the super mesh. Okay, because that is super mesh problem. Okay, and this is how we do it, everybody. Okay, so we have to take into consideration the two meshes, that is mesh 1 and mesh 3. Which are mesh 1 and mesh 3? Where IA is flowing, I'll refer to that as mesh 1. Where IB is flowing, that is mesh 2. Where IC is flowing, that is our mesh 3. So we are combining mesh 1 and mesh 2. Okay. Now just have to write the constraint equation. Okay, and obtain IA, IB, IC. See, no current is known now. So how many KVL problem is this? How many KVL problem is this? You have to apply KVL here in mesh 2 because IB we don't know, and you have to apply another KVL to this particular super mesh. So you'll be having two equations, but two equations, three unknowns would be there. Another equation, where will you get from? One KVL from mesh 2, another KVL from super mesh. But two KVLs will give you two equations with three unknowns. Another equation, where from you get? You'll get that equation from constraint equation. Okay, good. So can you do it yourselves? Go on, everybody. Do it yourselves, everybody. Go on. Yeah, everybody just take down these answers. Okay, you can do it later. Fine. The answers are your IA is 7.5 amps. Fine. And your IB and IC. IB is 2.5 amps and IC is what? 2.5 amps again. Fine. And after knowing IA, IB, IC, we have to write the equation for V naught. Anybody would like to give the equation for V naught there? Anybody would like to give the equation for V naught looking at this? So those who have solved the assignment problems would be knowing about this. So what is V naught? Go on. V naught is 2 into IB or minus 2 into IB is the question. It's minus 2 into IB because IB is approaching negative sign of V naught. Since current is approaching negative sign of V naught, okay, V naught would be minus 2 into IB. Okay, so that is what you need to write. It's minus 2 into IB, which means that it is minus 5 volts. Fine.